We had a moment where Shirai in this episode, because her memories are still fuzzy and altered towards Misaka, she literally, as she's trying to fight her urges to admit that she is attracted to her, is saying that her tastes don't swing that way. And you're just thinking to yourself, oh, you sweet summer child, if only you knew your true, deep, and darkest desires in this series. So after that week break, we have returned with Railgun, and if you didn't know, next week there is a planned recap for next week. Now, last week we had a delay because of the coronavirus and how pretty much every anime in existence has multiple things that are outsourced to different countries, primarily China and things like that. And the coronavirus is something that's going to delay a lot of things, not even just within anime, but just production in general across the globe. And it's not surprising that there's going to be multiple recasts, and this is going to have a lot of delays we should expect as such, but at the very least, it only was a week delay for this episode, and maybe next week will only be a week delay as well, but still, it's unfortunate of course, but I mean, this series, ever since they announced that Index was getting a third season, Railgun was getting a third season, as well as the Accelerator was going to get an anime, it's just had production issues across the board. I believe the production committee for Index Season 3 just completely screwed around with the studio, and just a lot of the decisions around the pacing and things were because of the production committee really taking their hands and doing some things that really shouldn't have been done. The Accelerator anime, I believe it was the lead animator, had health issues, so he had to be replaced mid-production, which caused animation issues in the long run. And now the coronavirus is screwing around Railgun. This has the worst luck for a franchise possible, but at the same time, at the very least, we still are getting Railgun. At least it hasn't been cancelled or anything like that, fingers crossed. But with that said, I have to say, the return to Railgun, even though it definitely felt like an eternity, even though it was only a week, it definitely felt rewarding seeing everything that happened. I mean, even when this anime doesn't move around too much, at the very least, the background details are like bright and vibrant, full of detail. It always is just an eye-pleasing experience to look at Railgun. And the fact that we went the direction of really like starting the foundation to say, hey, you know, this whole memory alteration, it's not going to last forever, nor did anyone think it was going to last forever, but to see all the pieces start to click more and more, and how these characters didn't just like look into their phone contacts and say, oh, we had her as a friend, clearly everything's just going to be erased like that. No, it's definitely going to take some talking, some moments, and I'm glad they're actually taking their time with it. I expect with episode 8, episode 9, by that point in time, I wouldn't be surprised if their memories, or at least they understand that their memories were altered and they were friends and things like that. But it's nice how they didn't just immediately flip a switch with it, and just the first time they saw her, they immediately were like, oh, that's my friend, I realize things have happened and my memories have been altered. No, it's nice to see how everything is actually in a slower but a nice steady pace to make everything reconnect into a very satisfying stopping point. I mean, we saw some things in this episode that definitely threw me for a loop. I mean, we're fighting duplicates left and right, and we're thinking to ourselves, Uiharu, mama, what is going on? And then you just see the monstrosity just melt away as she kind of flees. It was kind of amazing to see just that coordination, even though she knew that her memories were altered, that Shirai would still be there to save the day, and because she said that she was going to save Uiharu, she knew that she'd be 10 seconds away at best. I just love that. I love how even when the memories are altered, she truly still understands her at a deep enough level that even if her memories of herself are altered, she knows her core characteristics and that she wasn't going to abandon her friends or just, you know, not be a detective in a certain sense. And I love that. It was nice to see how even though there definitely wasn't a lot of action, there was definitely a lot of adrenaline pumping moments, both with just the investigations, realizing and kind of connecting the pieces more and more, and then of course just that standoff where you're just like, okay, knife to the throat, what's gonna happen? Holy shit, memories are being altered, how are we going to deal with this? I love how Railgun is avoiding falling victim into doing the same types of escalation that I think a lot of series in this type of genre are used to, where it really just is power escalation more times than not, but it's nice to have those emotional high points where a person with a knife is literally just threatening to slit your friend's throat. It's those simple things, and she didn't even know fully if it was her friend or not at first, and really just took a gamble because she was interacting with her mother. I love those little moments that really just, they set the stage of bigger things happening in the future, and you can definitely tell there's multiple sides at play doing a bunch of crazy things. We're talking about conspiracies at this point in time in Latin phrases, like what is truly going on and where they really want to take this arc of Railgun. And the fact that there is so many layers happening, I think really does go to show why this arc is so highly praised in the fandom for Railgun, because it definitely feels like it has the most going on, the most emotional high points, but also it kind of has everything that people love about Railgun, but also showing sides that we really couldn't predict unless you've obviously read the source material. I just had a lot of fun watching. Just honestly, this episode was a lot of running. It kind of felt like we were running from one location to the other. Characters, when they slow down to basically chit chat, they were starting to realize, oh, things are starting to click a little more, and maybe because there are, espers and things like that, there's one in the city who can alter what if things have happened. And I'm glad that not all the characters, like Hsieh being like, I can probably agree with a lot of the things that you're saying, but just jumping to the conclusion that we were friends with her because you have her contact information, that's a little overboard. I'm glad it wasn't just an immediate switch. It's something that seems a little in comparison to a lot of the things that this show has, but it's something that could have been a very big, it made us uncomfortable. Like, really, you're just going to give us such an emotional high point. You erase the memories and then just immediately give it back. It's obviously nice how they're coming to the conclusions that I think people logically would if you stumbled across a picture with you all in the picture together, or you find the contact information despite honestly feeling like you just met her a couple of days ago. I like that rather than just the immediate switch, like deja vu just clicks and everything like that, and how they actually have to use simple things like a girl basically reading into a cat's memories to piece together certain situations. It's nice to see how all that's happening, and it's good to see characters like Congo not completely, crash and burn, hopefully getting some medical treatment and all that kind of fun jazz. It's just nice to see how all the little pieces continue to fall more and more into place, and you're just thinking to yourself, we feel like, okay, things are starting to slow down. We're starting to feel like things are going back to normal. The gang's all back together. Yeah, maybe they don't really understand how close of a friendship they have, but still, at the very least, they're all together. We're reading into some emails. We're understanding the conspiracy, but at the same time, it's like, oh, we're just getting started. There's still so much left to do. We have to deal with, of course, the Queen. We gotta deal with hooded figures who can create metal clones. What's going on with the clones? What's happening with them? And all the little things that have been happening. It just feels like there's so much craziness occurring, and it doesn't even feel like this arc will conclude all that craziness. It will continue going forward, and some of these characters who don't get defeated will obviously pop back up in the future. And that's what I love about the franchise in general. It definitely feels like it's bigger than one big bad villain or one big bad group. There's just a lot of different things happening, which makes the kind of interlinking of Index or a Cell Raid or a Railgun all the more impactful, because you see different sides of the same coin in a different light, whether you're dealing with a completely unique threat for your arc and your series, or something that links back up to our, of course, Index and things like that. And that's what makes the entire franchise so fun. Like, this episode, did it move as much as past episodes? No. I mean, when you're dealing with coronavirus, you're dealing with delays already in the season, you're definitely going to have to make some compromises to some of the aspects of the production. But I mean, the backgrounds are so gorgeous that even when things are not moving all that much, you can still feel like it's a living and breathing environment because it doesn't look cheap produced in the slightest. And those certain moments where you get the electricity popping off or you're teleporting and things like that, it definitely did have some very charming moments and pretty insane looking moments. Maybe not as insane as last episode where you had like robots being ripped apart in every which direction, but I don't think an episode like this necessarily needed that, because really the most action we had was pretty much a threat and then a girl kind of like melting away. But still, definitely had a couple of moments that definitely were very visually pleasing, but overall it was an episode running and talking, so I don't think they necessarily had to do all that much in terms of the production. Could they have spiced it up a little bit more? Sure, but I mean, after everything that's been happening with this production, I'm definitely going to forgive any shortcomings a lot more than I normally would, and still, like, the content feels great. The voice actors are giving it their all, and when the OST kicks in, how do you not get excited or just pumped up alongside characters like Misaka? It feels like Railgun, like, it's going to be that show that's going to take like 3 seasons to probably finish because of the damn production issues. But I'm fine with that, because this is just such a good show that as long as we get to see the conclusion, that's all I'm hoping for. Hopefully the health of all the animators and things like that will, be able to push through, be able to get it done. But of course, if they need to take a month off to, care for the health of their workers, absolutely do so. I mean, health is more important than us watching our cartoons at the end of the day, really. But it definitely was an enjoyable episode. I mean, I thought we were probably going to have to wait at least 3 weeks for this episode. It just kind of felt like that. But hey, only 1 week delay. Then, of course, we got another week next week. But still, it'll be interesting to see how long it will take for all the episodes, or maybe we can quickly overcome this bug. You never know with new illnesses and anime production in general. But all we can do is hope for the best and see where it goes. But overall, this was a very fun episode, and as long as Railgun continues to entertain me, that's all I'm really asking for at the end of the day. But let me know your thoughts down in the comment section below. Did you love it? Do you hate it? Your favorite moment? What did you think? If you're fans of the source material, whatever you're feeling, do let me know. Be sure to like the video if you did enjoy it, and remember to hit that subscribe button if you happen new around here. So until next time, everyone, please take care and have a good one.